Some of the dailies this morning lead their papers with stories on the new minimum wage. The Daily Times leads with no agreement with FG on new minimum wage, says NLC. Faults Tinubu's Democracy Day claim, insists on 250,000 naira. Says Nigerian workers won't accept any minimum wage figure that approximates to starvation wage. The Daily Independent newspaper, FG asks Labour to settle for what won't lead to mass retrenchment. That's about the new minimum wage. NLC faults Tinubu's speech, says no agreement with FG yet. Recounts how they were intimidated, harassed by government officials, says their demand remains 250,000 naira. And right at the bottom of that picture, some governors encouraging youths to be criminals to rig election. That's according to former President Jonathan. Something you may want to check out. The front page of the Blueprint newspaper has the same story. At the bottom of the page, FG to Labour. Accept minimum wage that won't harm economy, cause retrenchment. NLC cautions Tinubu, insists on 250,000 naira living wage. And of course, right above that picture, Democracy Day, Nigerians have shown remarkable resilience, according to the reps. We need leadership with integrity, probity. That's from CAN. The Nigerian Observer leads with minimum wage. NLC counters Tinubu, says no agreement yet. The details of that on the front page, and you find the rest of it on the inside pages. Daily Trust has this data. Only 5.3 million workers will benefit from new minimum wage. Look at the writers. Says Nigeria among worst salary payers in Africa. FG states LGs must not politicize wages. That's ascribed to Peterside. Reducing cost of living is the way out. Dr. Olowo Kere. No agreement reached with FG. That's according to the NLC. Find the details of that story on the inside pages of the paper this morning. So, this Nigerian newspaper also has the story. NLC alleges misinformation, says no agreement yet on new minimum wage. But the lead story, Tinubu, no cause for alarm, says Presidency. Aftermath of Eagle Square slip, officials say President not superhuman. Atiku Obi, others wish him well. List of world leaders who fell at public events. All right, that story you'll find on page 2 of this Nigerian newspaper. The Nigerian Tribune, June 12, Nigeria needs new constitution. Anyoku Nwachukwu, others. Ex-Commonwealth Secretary General leads other patriots to Abiola's tomb, lay wreaths. Fasiu, family protests Tinubu's omission of OPC founder in list of heroes. Of course, right under that picture, NLC to Tinubu, no agreement reached on minimum wage yet. Our demand remains 250,000 naira. And the writers, we won't accept any starvation wage. It insists, don't demand what will undermine the economy. FG tells Labour. Look at the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Nigeria's unity cannot be traded. With your support, I won't fall. That's ascribed to Tinubu. Find the details of that story on page 6 of the paper this morning. The Vanguard newspaper, Democracy Day, eminent citizens, elder statesmen chart way forward. Look at the writers. As protest hits Abuja, Lagos, Osun, Kaduna, we need new constitution to hold Nigeria's collapse. Anyoku Nwachukwu, others. Our democracy has suffered state capture. Ascribed to Obi. Sanwo-Olu, Ayinde, others extol MKO Abiola. Address Nigerian suffering, CAN tells FG. Our democracy is in recession. Doesn't reflect our cultural experiences. Ascribed to Kuka. Gani Adams, OK, Odumaki, others canvas regionalism. The details of that story you'll find on the inside pages of the Vanguard newspaper. Look at Business Day newspaper. No way through. Schengen visa rejection hits 4-year high. Nigeria visa denial costs rise to 3.4 million euros. Rejection seen worsening in 2024. Details of that story continue on the inside pages of the paper this morning. These are the papers we have for you this morning. Well, let me take the first bite at this morning, and my interest is on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, which says only 5.3 million workers will benefit from new minimum wage.
And that's a little troubling, if you ask me, because on the front page, that story is essentially saying that's the number of people that will benefit from the minimum wage. And is that the number of people that will have working in Nigeria? According to NBS, the National Bureau of Statistics, as at 2017, the total number of people classified as being in full-time employment numbered 51.1 in 2017 and 51.3 in 2018 Q3. But guess what? If you look at Statista.com, the total number of employed people in Nigeria between, it says as of 2022, approximately 60 million people in Nigeria were employed. Now, what is that saying? So what's going to happen to the others who are not in this bracket? 5.3 million workers to benefit from new minimum wage, and the details that we have, even official figures, point in the direction of some 60 million people in full-time employment. But then there are also those who are in part-time employment, numbering about 20 million as at today, and those classified as unemployed, the figures are also there. So I'm hoping that this kinds of information is available holistically for labor and the federal government. So on the one hand, the labor is saying, no, we don't have an agreement yet, countering what the president said. On the other hand, the federal government is now saying, let's accept a sustainable minimum wage or living wage or whichever we want to call it, that will not lead to mass retrenchment. So where is the middle ground here? I guess Nigerians have to wait, don't we? Well, that's my take this morning on the front page of one of the dailies, and particularly my interest is on the front page of Daily Trust newspaper today.
I'm gonna just add a little bit to what Ayo just said there, because that is a real problem. We don't want a situation where everybody has money, but you can't use it for anything, you know. And those are some of the fears that we've seen expressed when it comes to this minimum wage issue. But of course, some middle ground has to be reached, as he said. I'm going to take my story today from the Leadership newspaper. And it's quite a lot happening on the front page here. Labour faulting Tinubu's speech, insists on 250,000 naira minimum wage. We're seeing that from page 4. The federal government is urging caution to avoid retrenchment and other economic crisis. Part of what Ayo was talking about there. But the court is ruling on the Kano Emirate tussle today. So that's something to look out for. And of course, this story from the Zamfara State governor is also making the headlines. He also said it yesterday at our security summit, talking about no political will to end banditry, says the Zamfara State governor. More on that from page 7. I think one of the words that's come out since we had him here on the show is that word, political will. And I remember we kept asking, political will on the part of who? And he said security, and we're like, security has no business with political will. You know, and then of course, all the revelations from this governor, it's really troubling, you know, to think about the fact that so many lives are being lost. And we're seeing politics being played. You know, it's very unfortunate, and one I think should be addressed immediately. He's been calling on the president, calling on security agencies and the media, everyone. So everyone is on board with this. This is not about taking sides. We're not supporting the governor over this or over that. That's not our business. The focus is on the human lives. We've lost too many people in Zamfara State. It's a hub that's affecting the entire region. It's a hub that's affecting us in Abuja here. So whatever needs to be done to ensure that Zamfara State stops this. We need an end to this situation in Zamfara State. And I mean, I don't mean to bring Chamberlain in on this, but off camera, Chamberlain is carrying this thing on his head like it's a very important thing, and rightfully so. People's lives. We have to be able to look at the human lives that are being lost here and what's happening in that whole region. It's unfortunate, and it has to stop.
Or maybe what you mean by that is I have political will.
He has political will. Chamberlain has political will to handle
We just focus and highlight those issues as much as we can, basically.
Yeah.
But you know, there are several other issues that need to be several loose ends. So all of this back and forth it has the potential of letting people just become narrow-minded about the toga minimum wage, as it were. Several issues that need to be addressed. beyond that, because basically it's about at least several people who are in employment, at least being comfortable or having their purchasing power count for something. Transport costs, all of those thugs who are out there on the street, who's reining them in with all of those, what do they call it, taxation that they get from all of those tricycle, the buses in different parts of the country. These guys make millions. In fact, they say trillions that they make from those people on the street, and that's why the fares skyrocket. Multiple taxation for companies just trying to set up a business or just trying to register a business name and go do something out there. You see the complaints that they give in terms of the tax officials in those states. Who's talking about that to ensure that businesses can thrive?
And where does the money go?
So
you know, the accountability when they collect all these levies. We see it in Abuja here. Wherever you park, you have to pay. Where does the money go? In the nation's capital, at least we can petition the FCT minister. He would explain. But in other parts of the country where this is going on, where does the money go?
So we've got a lot to do. I mean, because even if you get that minimum wage, so to speak, the other attendant factors will almost make it count for nothing. And at the end of the day, you might have succeeded in contributing to the problem if you don't get the big picture. So that's why we always say, look, people should look at some of these issues, not from a keyhole. You have a broad perspective how you look at some of these things. If not, you won't get a big picture. Well, there's so many matters that we will focus on today on the program. So stay on with us because we will be right back.